people that see something and they just want to confirm what they're seeing, or just to kind of, see how far one plant reaches?
If you let me say a quick something, because when I first started iNaturalist, I lived in the area where it was sort of invented by the National Geographic people. I was in Alexandria, Virginia, and I was talking with them, and the main purpose of iNaturalist is not really for science.
Right.
The main goal that the people who created this was to make people observe their surroundings. So garden things are just as good as natural things in that sense. That was the purpose of this, was to make people spend time observing their world. And if you live in New York City, then your world, your nature is not what our nature here is in Colorado.
Your nature is Central Park.
But as it has grown, it has become a valuable research tool because of the nature of what's in it. So yeah, you can put your garden observations up, and they're counted as your total number of observations, and they're totally legitimate observations, but it's separate from being considered the natural in the natural world. It's just a different part of iNaturalist. They're both part of iNaturalist, but they serve different functions, really.
Okay, so once you post a photo, does it have to be peer reviewed by 2 people that agree with you, and then it's
no, it just has well, if you ID it as something and someone agrees with you, then it's considered research grade, or it's considered ID'd if it's just in the garden. So
okay.
Yeah, just 2 people who have to agree on the ID, whether it's you and someone else. And of course, we all know from using it that there are people who agree just because they want to agree. They don't really know, or they say, oh, she knows what she's talking about, I'll agree. So there is some of that, but there's enough really valid data in there that those little things are sort of little glitches that are overlooked or overcome by the body of excellent real.
There's an additional kind of a sister app to iNaturalist that has been developed. It's called SEEK, SEEK, and that is used for if you just want to find out what you're looking at. It uses the photos that have been uploaded to iNaturalist. It uses the same AI, the same computer, they call it computer vision, the same computer identification, using the photos that have been uploaded to iNaturalist to actually on the screen, it'll show you, it's thinking through, it gets to the family level, to the genus level, to the species level, and if you just hold your phone pointed at that plant, it'll, if it's possible, it will get down to the species level and it'll tell you what you're looking at. So there's kind of all different, exactly like Suzanne was saying, there's a lot of different uses for this, and then Seek by iNaturalist, it kind of adds another layer to that as well. iNaturalist is also, you have to be, I think, 13 or 14 years old or older in order to use it because of the visibility of the location data. So Seek is really great for, really great for if you have students or kids that are younger than that and that still want to use this technology. That's another option.
Cool.
It's really interesting. I haven't used it that much, but the little bit that I've used it has been just very impressive.
Yeah, the recognition software has gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
It's not 100%, but it's darn good.
And it won't go lower than, so if you're looking at a grass species, if you're looking at a POA, like a bluegrass species, it won't go lower than what's possible with a photograph. It won't tell you that it's the species level if that's not possible based on what you're looking at.
Hmm. So since we're talking about research grade, I think we have to back up and we have to train everyone on how to get into someone else's observations so that you can see that they have the yellow box that says needs ID. How do we do that?
Well, I want to answer your question, Denise.
Okay.
So but I want to go back for a second. after.
Okay.
This is what I envision, is that maybe it's in the new e-newsletter, like maybe it's somewhere on the website, like we could publish the user names of CoNPS member iNaturalist, and then we could ID each other's observations. And so by following you guys, I now get an email every time you say something. Sorry, I don't want to mess up my cues here. Hold on one second. But I want to show you that, like, when I open my email every day, I get to find out, like, if you took any pictures. And so then I can go in there and we can help each other, you know, and maybe weed out the people who are just, like, I wouldn't follow someone I didn't know, but I would email them in iNaturalist and say, are you a CoNPS member? Do you want to join a Southeast chapter meeting? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you get these emails, these pesky emails, so we could help each other in that way.
I'm not
also-
seeing where I do the follow.
Oh, sure. So, like, I put your names up in here. Oh, I probably can't follow myself. But as you were putting your names in the chat, I just put them up in here. And then I went to you and, sorry. Let's see how it worked out. I went to you and followed you. So let me go back.
What it looks like when you click, like if there's an observation, not from you, from someone else, and you click on their name and it takes you to their page, and that's where you follow them.
Oh, yes, perfect. Okay. So, but I'm already following Ann. So can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So right up here, as you introduced yourselves, I just put your name in the search, and then I clicked on your name, and then I clicked follow.
Okay.
You can
And
also search
now-
for people under community drop down and then people.
And people.
And then the search box at the top right. That's another way to do what Maggie just showed us.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to steal Audrey's thunder because she's going to give a whole webinar about all this stuff.
Okay.
And what the point of this working group is kind of to go through these and just have a casual conversation and see how we could support each other by agreeing, disagreeing, conversing. So I would like to get back to that.
Okay.
And then, Audrey, what's the date of your webinar?
Friday, June 12th.
Friday, June 12th. You don't even have to wait a very long time. You can,
There's a maximum attendance, so if you want to sign up, do it now.
yeah, so like this has been a little wildfire running through CoNPS, and it's so great. And so, yes, I will be at that webinar and I will learn more too. And so I would like to get back to this. I do want to get back to something that Suzanne said, which is that, see, I try not to go past genus unless I'm like 100% sure, unless Kurt or George Cameron or Linda Smith or Denise already told me that I was right, you know. And so I just leave it at the genus because, like I said, I'm an ecologist, and so for me it's like a process of elimination, understanding the ecosystem, but it is not a purely botanical activity for me. And so
I love that one. Says something.
oh yeah,
Something.
I
yeah.
didn't put that in the queue, but this one's on the tip of my tongue, and I
It is.
can't even get to genus on this guy. And
The
it,
ki-
yeah,
Can I make a suggestion?
sure.
It's much more likely to be identified by someone in the iNat community if it has some kind of ID. So you know it's a plant, right? Label it as a plant.
Yeah.
And then it's much more likely that someone will help you with the identification than if it's nothing.
Yes.
This is Ann. I just have to say, I'm sorry, I have to leave this incredible discussion. And so please keep me in the loop as to when we're going to have the next one.
And
Okay.
if
Yes.
I gotta go.
And Anne, I did not remember to start recording the meeting at the start of it, but I did start recording it when we were looking at the observations. So I will send this to you because these are your plants. Thank you for submitting something for us to talk about.
I just wanted to have them ID'd by somebody. Thank you.
So I've already got your next one queued up right here. We will definitely get to it. So.
All right. It's a very cool place.
Well, thanks so much.
Thanks, Ann.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, I can get rid of this guy and this one. And I did write plantae, so that's a really good advice.
Yeah, but put in flowering plant, and you'll get to Magnoliaceae, and you get that'll narrow it down even further.
Yeah.
Flowering plant. Okay.
Yeah,
Agreed.
because then they know it's not, you know.
It's that fourth one down. It says flowering plants.
Yeah. There you go.
Because like when I go to identify things, and I know that Jennifer Ackerfield said that kind of the same idea. I'm only looking at things that are plants. So if iNaturalist doesn't know that it's a plant, it won't show me that one to help identify it.
Okay, that's super great advice. Oh, look at how many plants we have in our state.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm getting a little punchy. Okay, so just so this was one Ann put up, and I'm sure she did her homework about the short style onion, but when I took a picture of an onion like last night or the night before, I just wrote allium because I wasn't sure. So those are two different ways of being in iNaturalist. So let's go to short style onion. Any commentary here?
Oh, well, the commentary I have right off the bat is, where is this from? Where did she take this picture?
Show the map again so she can see that. The map shows you, and you can make that map bigger and see exactly where it is if you need to.
Okay, because Ackerfield doesn't have brevistylum in any county that's near to where. Wait a minute. I don't know if it doesn't. Hold on a second.
The problem with Ackerfield, she only has counties where she has an herbarium specimen. So if she doesn't have an herbarium specimen, she doesn't mark it as being in that county.
Yeah. So
okay, so she was using
show up in Ackerfield. Sorry.
She was using SEINet to create.
Okay.
That's mind blowing. I was wondering how she did that. So was she using SEINet to figure that out?
Possibly so. Let's look it up and see.
I've just found many, many plants in counties where she does not have them marked. And I asked, I can't remember who about it, and they said, oh, because she was using herbarium specimens.
Brevistylum is in Ackerfield, though.
Oh, yeah. It's just not, it doesn't show up in Larimer County.
Ackerfield doesn't have a map, though, for this species.
I see. Sorry, I missed the bubble there. But I know for sure that every plant that's in there there aren't herbarium specimens for plants in every county that exist.
Sure.
Yeah. So that can't be like a eliminator, I would say, if other things are clearly indicating that it is something. I know this is getting down to fine points, but
if it's nearby, go with it. You know, if it's in an adjacent county.
If everything in the plant really adds up and it clicks off and you're just really sure it is one, and it's not like 10 counties away or something.
Another piece of evidence that I like to use when I'm looking at identifications is in the map of the species. So if you see there's like, it looks like a stack of layers in the top right of the map.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go down to the bottom, it says GBIF occurrences. That pulls in all of the other occurrences from that global biodiversity database.
Ooh,
So it just popped up with like tiny red squares. in addition to the red squares from iNaturalist, and that adds data.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know about that one.
All those tiny red squares, that's not iNaturalist data. That's the global biodiversity database.
Oh, good.
I mean, that gives me a lot of confidence right there. There's four other occurrences that are right nearby of this, and those are occurrences of this same species.
Right.
Ackerfield, it is confusing though, because Ackerfield does not have it in any county near Larimer. She does not have it nearby at all.
In SEINet, there are 5 occurrences in Larimer County by Colorado State University Herbarium.
There you go.
Interesting.
And one of them
in Weber, it says
Ackerfield.
Weber says North Park and LR, which might be Larimer. I'm trying to find the key there.
So your point is well taken. It was close, and then when we looked at a different source beyond Ackerfield, we found, 5 occurrences in SEINet.
So now my question is, if in SEINet there's 5 and in Weber it says it's in North Park and in Larimer County, like, is there a means for the 2nd edition of the Flora of Colorado to be updated? Like, how could we store this information as we work as a working group throughout time? You see what I'm saying?
Jennifer has requested things like this. She wants to know stuff like this for the next edition. She's actively working on the next edition right now, or just has been ongoing. So I believe she said that she has like a spreadsheet, or she's been keeping track of things that people have brought to her saying this is spelled wrong, or you should have this count. This does occur in Larimer County, or this key is very there's a bunch of different examples. She's definitely open to receiving this kind of information directly.
My next quick question is, like, if it's not in SEINet, does that mean that could we put some call out to, like, for an herbarium specimen to be collected from Larimer County, or does it work that way?
That's kind of delicate because you need permits.
Yeah.
Doesn't that depend where you get them from?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's an important point, because, like, if it was a CoNPS member who was seeing this on their property, couldn't they send an herbarium specimen to DBG or something?
Yeah. If they had means to make a collection, then they could definitely communicate with Jennifer and get it into the herbarium and get it into SEINet. Once it's in the DBG herbarium, it's in SEINet.
Yeah, I'm just asking these questions because, like, this is what I research, so, like, as far as CoNPS having agency in these ways, like, this is what I would hope to help us do, is improve that. So improve the resource.
So, like, this example, this one it looks like it's from State Forest State Park. So if we were to
ask them,
what we could do is like see if anyone in the call that could be put out is, does anyone have any permits for collecting in this state park, or in state parks in general, or in the national forest nearby? And if someone has an active permit right now, or if someone wants to apply for a permit, then that's something that could be done. It is a bit time consuming.
It is, but most of the people in those agencies, if you ask them and tell them the reason, they're happy to give you a permit to do it most of the time.
That's the other thing is, like, as the chapter chair, like, because I'm an academic, but I work on public lands, like, I try to recruit more land managers to join my chapter, and so that's another piece. Like, this guy Ed Bieri from Pueblo just, like, came out of the woodwork last week, and I was like, sweet, you work for the Forest Service and you're a forest ecologist? Like, and it sounds stupid, but if this working group turned into something where we could make a recommendation to Linda, who's no longer on the phone, but this is being recorded, you know, maybe in the e-news it would say, like, we're looking for this, you know, we could just pick a few things from our meeting and say, we want to drive this home. We want to send it to Ackerfield. We want to get an herbarium specimen, find out if a member has property here, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think people would be interested in that. Helping, support that.
So now someone should go in and agree with Anne, if you feel comfortable with our conversation so far.
We can't see the bulb outer coat, so that's not going to help us. Let's see. How about the leaves?
Well, and maybe this isn't enough. Maybe we write to Anne and we say, Anne, take another picture with the leaves, you know, or something like that. We
Bracts, okay, so we got leaves 2 to 5, bracts 2, 3 to 5 veined. Can we see bracts? Yes, we can see the bracts, can't we?
Kind of.
Yeah, we've got the 2 to 5 vein, that works. Tepals are rose pink, the tips recurved, kinda. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We just can't see the leaves and we can't see the bulb. So, but the other characteristics all match Ackerfield.
Okay, and I'm just tracing back through Weber, but so far we can't see any of the things he's talking about. So that's not very helpful. And I don't want to put you guys on the spot, but that would be the next step, would be to push that through, but I am not going to agree because I'm not the expert. So but I will work on this further, or we could after.
Yeah, we could send a message to her saying we can't see the bulb outer coat and we can't see the number of leaves.
But the other thing to kind of, you know, balance is what you know about your local knowledge to some extent, in that a lot of times we're not going to be able to see the bulb of a plant because it's underground.
Dig it up.
Definitely not allowed to dig things up for iNaturalist to look at stuff.
Yeah.
Or take them home and photograph them on a sheet, which I've seen people do. So you have to use a little bit of common sense in that, from what you know about the plant already, can you narrow it down and say, we do know, we agree it's an allium, and what other allium could it possibly be this color and with this, you know, do we have to see the bulb to know that? And I don't know, I'm not familiar with this plant. So the only onion I know in Colorado is the textile onion, and it doesn't look like this one. So do we know enough to say that it is a short style, even if we can't see the bulb or the leaves? Is there another plant that looks like this? On the
the nodding onion.
Well, this is not an onion.
This one's not the nodding, so we can eliminate that. But the Allium acuminatum occurs close enough to Larimer County, and it has 3 to 7 veins, and it's also pink.
Okay.
And it also has recurved tips. So since I can't eliminate acuminatum, I can't say for sure, you know.
Okay.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. That would be a deal breaker, right?
Yeah.
And so this was another source of frustration for me, is like just pitching this at my chapter a couple times. Like, we would look at this compare screen and my chapter members would say, oh no, that's not here, you know, and so it would kind of make us question these comparisons and suggestions.
That's not necessarily a good a good thing to say, just because no one else has found that,
Right.
and Anne has found it. Yeah, so Anne has found something that other people haven't found. That's all. And that,
Well, in the
yeah.
process of elimination, I'm saying, like, you gave a great reason why it's not the nodding onion, and why it's not the textile onion, and it's not chives,
Uh-huh.
not cultivated, right? And then this swamp onion, like, does this exist in Larimer County? That would be the next question. That I don't know that iNaturalist users are going there. You know, we are right now, but
Right.
Well, Validum is not even in Ackerfield.
So if you look at the GBIF, if you add the GBIF network observations to the map of swamp onion,
Okay.
and then zoom out to look at the whole country, you'll see it's very unlikely that it occurs in Colorado, that the identification, so zoom out to the country to like see it's in California, but you don't know that until you add the GBIF, the larger body of data to the map. And then what's probably going on is those locations in Colorado are incorrectly identified iNat observations.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I would say it's not swamp onion. That between
I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
the fact that it's not in Ackerfield, and then the map when you add the GBIF data to the map, those two pieces, those two lines of evidence combined tell me that we do not have swamp onion in Colorado. So that one isn't a viable option.
Agreed.
So that, like, this is, again, maybe too far down the rabbit hole, but it would be sweet if we could go figure out what these dots are and go to those observations and say that can't be right.
You absolutely can do that, and then either change the identification to a higher level to just to allium and say why why you made that choice, or you can go to those specific things. Excuse me.
So this person said it was a swamp onion only a couple days ago, right? And then I can look at who this person is.
It's their
Right.
only observation.
That's a clue.
That was their only observation.
Oh.
And then we can go here and we can just say allium in general and say because, sorry, typing. Am I good, Audrey?
Yeah,
And you know, some people didn't identify it themselves. They just used the software idea that iNat suggested, and
Yeah.
iNat is wrong quite a bit of the time too.
Yeah.
Right.
It's really good to tell people why you've changed something. That's one of my biggest beefs, is people who disagree with something I ID'd and don't tell me why. I mean, certainly I'm wrong a lot of times, but I really like to learn from my mistakes. So tell me why. Tell me why.
So if we go back to that compare screen, we agreed it's not nodding onion. We agreed it's not textile onion. We agreed it's not chives. We just agreed it's not swamp onion. It does not look like wild garlic at all. Now we're process of elimination. The next option is short style onion.
Exactly.
So I think this is great, because this is just like layers of evidence for or against this identification in this example, and we've just added several layers of evidence for agreeing with short style onion.
Yeah.
The only thing you could put down is just one more thing, which is the reason why we haven't confirmed your ID is because we're not certain that it isn't Allium acuminatum. That's the one that's left that it could actually be.
And that one there is a plate for, so maybe we should look at it.
It looks a lot like it looks very similar.
Yeah, they do.
So is it possible that the things in the other database, GBIF, are not necessarily correct?
I mean, it's always possible, but it's I don't know. I tend to rely on it pretty heavily. I mean, what is possible is that there are two species that look very similar in the same place.
Mhm.
But I tend to rely on the GBIF data.
So now acuminatum, where's that one? Let's see.
It doesn't come up on the compare options.
Oh,
Yeah.
this happened to us with the vetches, which is why that's on the agenda.
Oh, the vetching veggies.
I need to use the restroom. So I just wanted to pull up our next agenda plant, and then we have like about a half an hour left. So we could take a quick break, or you guys can talk. Someone else can share their screen while I go to the bathroom here. Anyone want to take the lead? Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. The rest of you pros may know, how do I turn off location? I'm going to go look at Calypso orchids tomorrow, and I don't want their location to show up.
Oh.
For like posting an iNaturalist observation?
Well, if I take an observation in iNaturalist and take a picture, isn't it automatically going to show?
Yeah, you do have to take steps to block the location.
You can obscure it. When you take a photo and you make the observation on your phone, one option. Do you have an iPhone or an Android?
Android.
So it will say, I believe it'll say geoprivacy or location. I'm sorry, I have to double check. But one of the options when you post an observation on your phone is will allow you to change the setting from open to obscured. And what that will do will put, instead of showing a point on a map, it'll show a square, a very large square on the map, and then put the point in a random location within that square. And that is a way to hide the location, but still have your data included in the iNaturalist database. Because if you don't have any location at all, it doesn't really make sense to add it to iNaturalist. You can choose to change your observations to private, and all that does is kind of, then your observations become more of like a personal nature journal, or it's more no one knows that you made that observation. So if you obscured is a nice middle ground if you want to still include your data in iNaturalist, but you don't want people to know where it is. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think how, you'd like to know, I'm going to go to one of the Jeffco open space parks. I have been emailing all day with a friend who went there today, and she found almost 300 of them.
Where was that?
Anybody want to come with me tomorrow?
Oh, I'm volunteering at a garden tomorrow. I would.
Which Jeffco open space are you talking about?
Myers Ranch. Conifer.
I gotta look at my schedule for tomorrow.
So if you change, so another, if you do the what I said on your phone, it will say location visibility. This is when you're creating the observation, when you're posting the observation itself. If you click on location visibility on your phone, it gives you the choice to change that from the default setting is open. You can change that to obscured, and then it's your location then turns into a 22 by 22 kilometer rectangle.
Okay.
And that's a way to obscure it. Another way is if you leave it at open, you don't change it to obscured, you can go into the location itself and zoom out on the map. And what that does is it has a circle around your point. And that circle will get larger and larger and larger as you zoom out. And that circle represents the accuracy. So you can have an accuracy bubble that covers all of Jefferson County, or however large you want to make that bubble. And then what that means is that you found this thing somewhere in that bubble. Those are two different ways to be a little bit more sensitive with the location.
Okay. Will that still be considered research grade? Would that be useful to anybody?
Absolutely, yeah. That's separate. Let me double check. That's actually a very good question.
If it's 20 kilometers from where I'm working, it's not going to be very useful. In fact, if it's 200 yards from where I'm working, it may not be very useful.
Useful to whom?
Who knows? Scientists.
Yeah, so if you change it to obscured, this is actually a really good question. If you change the observation to obscured, I think that it might prevent it from getting to research grade. Although I might need to look into this a little bit more. This is a really good question. I want to look into it. I want to take some time to look into this question.
You'll have an answer by the webinar?
Absolutely, yeah. I will write that down. I'll include it. I'll make sure to mention it in the webinar.
Okay, and to answer Denise's question, 275 of them.
Of this Nevada sweet pea?
No.
What was my question?
Calypsos.
Oh, calypsos. Oh, heck. I got those a 10-minute walk from my house. And you are, and Myers Ranch is an hour and 10-minute drive for me. So
oh, you're a long way. It's 15 minutes
away
from my house, so it's my backyard or front yard.
Yeah.
So this sweet pea, I was reading while we were talking, and Weber says that it's very difficult to tell it apart from leucanthus. And in eastern Colorado, the species is very uniform. But again, there's not really a lot of detail to
93.
And then the lookalike here is not even showing up. So
Ackerfield keys pretty directly to Lathyrus landsworthii.
yeah, on what grounds?
So I started the family level, and I pretty easily got to Lathyrus based on the leaflets and the I'm blanking on the word right now. I'm sorry.
Tendrils, by any chance?
Tendrils. Thank you. Yes. The tendrils, and then once you go into Lathyrus, you can tell that the leaflets, there's more than 2 leaflets per leaf, and then the petals are white, and that's enough to take us to Lansworthii.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, so our distribution is good. You walked through the key and got there. I see that too. Is there any other one that's white? No. Lansworthii is the only one with white petals, you guys. So maybe we can.
What about the
confirm her ID.
leucanthus?
She doesn't have that.
Oh, as existing. Okay.
I can look it up and see if maybe it's a synonym. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She does have it as a synonym for.
Because, yeah, the leucanthus is the only one in the Meet the Natives, which is not a key, but still somewhat helpful.
So Ackerfield has leucanthus as a variety of Lansworthii.
Right.
Right. So.
Yeah, and the key brings us to following the key at the subspecies level, following Ackerfield brings us to leucanthus, variety leucanthus. I'm always hesitant to identify lower than species in iNaturalist because there's just a lot of different ways of treating those. I typically take it to species, and I don't know, I'm uncertain at the lower level than that.
Well, especially she doesn't have any maps for the varieties.
But that just means, right, I think there is actually one herbaria specimen back here. It's just right under the pin.
Oh.
You see, it kind of looks like it's under there, but I can't move the pin.
What are you looking at right now? I'm sorry, what screen is this? Is this
Well,
iNaturalist?
this is the map with the GBIF.
The GBIF.
The GBIF attached.
Okay.
So when I look in here, I'm fairly certain there's one.
So that's Anne's observation.
Oh, it's just hers. Okay.
Yeah.
So is this disconcerting that there's nothing else here?
Don't you need to check all observations on that drop down?
Yeah, it looks like you're missing a lot of data on that map.
There you go.
Okay. Thanks.
Is it also possible to put the county boundary on that map? One of those map layers?
I don't think so.
Up above, right above that square? Isn't there a choice of map layer? Oh. That's too bad.
Okay. So now, thank you. That was user error. So now we have a lot more confidence. Okay.
Yeah, I've got confidence in this one. So what button do you press that says we agree?
So if you
right there.
If you do it, Denise, you could.
I'm going to agree.
Okay, yes, please agree.
I just did it on mine.
You have no idea how, if people are not familiar with iNaturalist, you have no idea how good this feels. If you wake up in the morning and like 4 people paid attention, you're like, yes. All right, I'm getting a bit tired. So we'll just. Oh yay, we're at a 9 mark.
Yay.
Woohoo. Okay, so we'll get right into these photos. So when you were saying, like, I see here, I can see the flower, the stamens, the bark type, the leaf shape. You were saying before that, like, I also find it really important to show, like, what ecosystem it's in. So, like, is this decent picture from your perspectives?
It's a lot better than some.
Yeah, it's helped. The first picture is a lot more helpful for identification, especially for species that co-occur in the same ecosystem or the same area. Having a ecosystem or an area photo doesn't really help choose between two species if they both occur there anyway. I mean, it's additional data. It's never a bad thing to include that photo as well, but this is really what you want, this close-up. And in fact, what would be even better is a closer up of the flowers. But from here, you can see that there's two carpels, like the flower that's at the top of the screen right now. You can see there's kind of like two little ovaries in there.
Oh yeah, like right where my cursor is. Here.
Yeah, exactly. And for Colorado, at least, that's enough to say it's, for Colorado and this location, that's typically enough to say it's 9-bark. It's monogynous. Monogynous is a incorrectly named. Monogynous translates in Latin to one ovary, and that's an error. It's two.
I just saw some 9-bark starting to bloom here in Colorado Springs today.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time looking at those little carpels.
Is this a decent comment to digest what we're saying?
Oh, the monogynous comment isn't necessarily for this identification. That was just a fun tidbit. It's the reason is more because there's two carpels. I would replace that and say there's, yeah, perfect. What you're doing, there you go, perfect.
Okay.
And so Maggie, I looked at your Physocarpus observation, and since there's no flowers, I can't say that I with any confidence that it is even Physocarpus.
Really?
There's a lot of things in the area that look like Physocarpus. There's a couple of raspberry, rubus species. The bark looks right, but the leaves are, I don't know. I'm without flowers, I'm not confident.
Oh, okay.
But when some of us look at that, we say that's not rebus.
That's the power of this meeting, because I don't know that. You know that, so you just added that information, and that's super helpful right there.
Can't tell you why I say that, but it just doesn't look like the ones I've seen.
I mean, the bark looks right, so I would say Physocarpus, unless someone else disagrees.
No, I agree.
I mean, it's probably monogynous. I don't want to put too much confidence to
That's
it.
where you could just put the genus, if you're certain if you're.
But that's the only genus that occurs in that part of Colorado.
That's the only genus? The only species?
The only species. One other genus, and it's way over on the west slope.
One other species of that genus?
One other species on the west slope.
So Ackerfield's Physocarpus key, I have a lot of problems with it. So take it, I have had conversations with her for the next edition.
Okay.
There's more than one species in Colorado, in my opinion. And she and Weber disagree on this genus also.
Yeah, Weber says there's Opulifolius as well. And
he's partially, so anyway, I don't want to, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole of my research, but I would be happy to if someone's interested.
Colorado Springs.
Well, and this was one that I don't know why I chose the common as opposed to just leaving it at Physocarpus, because I always just leave it at genus, but I feel like there was a reason.
It's the top, it's the iNaturalist suggested. This was the first on the list of iNaturalist suggestions, I noticed. So maybe that was why.
Well, it could have been a sleight of hand on my part. I was just staring at it, and there's a lot of mountain maples. This was at like Bear Creek Nature Center. And I just was like, it's a 9 park. I was just like, got a gut reaction about it.
Yeah. I'm gonna, can you add Opulifolius var intermedius? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I just have to say real quick, I just added my first observation.
Woo!
Check it out.
Oh, sure. Wait, I'm following you now. Let's find you. Where are you? Where are my peoples? Here we go, people. Wait, what was your name again?
It's Allie Hop. Oh, one L.
Oh, okay.
How did you decide on that ID? I don't know this group at all, but I'm just curious.
I just went through the key in a bunch of pictures, and I study wetland plants, so I do wetland restoration all over Colorado, but I'm in Buena Vista. But yeah, this was a new one for me. I've always seen it, and I think that's what it is.
Oh, I mean, it keys out really easily in Ackerfield too.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Oh,
I'll agree.
really great members. Doris Driscoll is from BV. So if you are looking for events, they're gonna show up in the Southeast chapter.
Okay. That name sounds so familiar.
Sorry, my son, I'm getting ready.
But Doris is really into alpine plants, so she might not even know what this one is.
Yeah.
So.
I used to live in Salida too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Woohoo. So I was just falling behind and looking in Weber, but gonna look real quick. Well, this species isn't showing up in Ackerfield, or in Weber, excuse me. Commentary. All right, y'all, I think we're getting tired. Let's just stop.
Okay.
What do you think?
Okay.
I'm gonna go I'm a teacher. I know when things are going down south. So this is one thing that's annoying me. I want to find the people that I'm following. Can you help me, Audrey?
Yeah, if you go to your dashboard, And then one of the buttons across the top says following. Below that, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
there it is.
So as we say goodbye, I'm just gonna slowly scroll through this. This Zach's guy is a land manager. He's not in our current meeting. But Allie Hop and oh, I was gonna see. Well, you guys are in the chat, right? Look in the chat. I'll stop sharing my screen and make sure your iNaturalist name shows up in our chat window. And then when I send the recording, I will copy all that down so you guys can follow each other.
Great, thank you. Well, thank you, Matt. This has been really awesome, really helpful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well,
I'm looking forward to doing this.
Yeah, you can see that it's a lot of work on the backside. And so I think we could make a big difference. And if our calendar is a little bit empty because we can't hang out in groups, then this is maybe what we do in 2020. And we just, you know, have a real presence and help to educate people, also recruit members. Like we're always talking about the age of the membership. So like if you find that people in your community are making lots of observations, I would reach out to them in iNaturalist and say, hey, you want to come to our meeting? You know, and I invite people all the time to our meeting who are not members. And then they become members. So I draft the email in the member works, you know, on the backside of the CoNPS website, but then I copy it into my regular email and I send it to my colleagues who should be members, for goodness sakes. And I like this last month I had 3 new members. I was like, yes.
Good job.
Yeah, that's
I'm not really, if anyone knows, I just kind of overtext, so I'm not actively working at it.
No, but that means you are responsible for 10% of all of the new members in CoNPS in the last 3 months. So well done.
yeah.
Perfect.
And then sometimes, like someone emailed me today and they were like, oh, isn't your meeting happening? And I was like, well, I emailed the people who are sleeping. And he was like, I guess I need to become a member.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let me just share my screen one last time in my normal just chapter chair way. I like to just keep showing these events to my people. So you remember what other cool things are happening. So this webinar is happening this weekend, Biology of Pollination. Stephanie Mayer, this should be real interesting. I assume it will help us with our botanical vocabulary, which helps the keying process.
Oh, and by the way, there's only 2 seats left on that pollination, biology of pollination. So if you are serious, better sign up.
That's a good.
It's $20 for a member.
So we're seeing that these things are being, there's virtual garden tours. Oh, that's beautiful. I want to do one of those.
Oh, you should, because we need more people to sign up for that urban prairie. There's hardly anybody. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's, you know, like 11 days from now. We need more people.
This is Audrey, my co-host here's webinar where we could all learn so much more about how to use this properly. Sorry, I'm a hack. I hope you drink a beer afterwards, Audrey, and say, she was such a hack.
No, this was fantastic. This is great.
This was really helpful.
This was great. I agree.
You can see that these things are canceling, so get creative. Like I was literally, I've just been out there with my video. Like I'm just gonna be posting like my own virtual tours of my hikes and all sorts of stuff. But we just have to get creative and not fall off the face, because whatever organizations are taking the most action to adapt here are the people who are gonna get our attention, right? Yes. We're all members of more than one society. So, and here's another great webinar coming up community restoration principles.
Mhm.
And I will try to promote this to Kathy. Like, I don't know why a webinar has to be on a Saturday. Like, we could still go outside by ourselves on a Saturday. So at any time of day, maybe. Paniote, that will be super fun to watch
Yeah.
them walk around.
Lots of good seats left.
So like if you're moving and shaking in your own chapter, like what I would suggest is like, hey, I'd say to Kurt, go out there and take some videos or make us a slideshow, you know, and then I can publish it to my members. Maybe it doesn't hit the statewide calendar, but this is Doris that I was mentioning before, for Allie. Doris is up there enjoying the alpines, so we hope this one still goes in Elk Park.
I signed up
Families.
for that one. Actually, 2 by Doris.
Plant families, yep. And then the last thing else I want to say, just in terms of how we interact, Denise, I can't find on here, like, where's the botany bill? I was thinking we should be writing letters about that.
Good question.
I think it was on the homepage, but now I can't find it. So we can be working on the backside, just writing letters to our Congress people, and I can't find that right now, so. But anyway, that's all I got for y'all.
Well, that was a lot. Thank you so
That was
much.
great.
Thank you.
Really fun to see
Thanks
everybody.
so much, Maggie.
Thank
See,
you,
that will
Maggie.
be in touch.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Audrey, I'm looking forward to your seminar. That'll be
Yay.
great.
Good.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night.